Let's head to Australia and to join the Brisbane Roar coach, Robbie Fowler, whose new book, A Footballer's Life, is out. Robbie, good morning to you. Good evening to you where you are. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Proud of yourself?
Yeah, good. Listen, now, before we talk to you about the book, a quick question about the news of the day, this Raheem Sterling, Joe Gomez row. As a coach now, would you deal with this differently than you would have done as a player?
Well, probably yes. I think it has happened. It's probably not ideal. From a manager's point of view, would he be done it if this was a World Cup semi-final? Probably not. But look, I don't think we should sit here and argue with Gareth. He felt that's probably the right decision, for the camp. But look, the players have apologised, or Raheem has apologised. I felt he should have kept it for the Colonel Gareth, dealt with it that way. Players have apologised, and as far as I'm concerned, it should be finished. Let's not make a big or a bigger thing out of it.
It seems as though one of the reasons, Robbie, that maybe Gareth Southgate did make a big thing of it is possibly his own personal experience, and certainly what we've heard of England over the last 20 years, that there were these big divisions between the various club factions, that the Liverpool players would sit at one table, the Chelsea players at another table, the Manchester United players at another table. Was that your experience of it when you look back throughout your career?
Well, look, of course, we sat on a table with our mates. It's like if you go to a radio station dinner, you're not going to sit on a table with fellas from other radio stations. You're going to sit with the players or the people you're comfortable with. So look, with international football, of course, you play, or you're training and you're playing with your rivals. But look, you've got to be sensible enough to know that, look, we're all here to do the same job. I've fell out with managers, but ultimately you're growing up and you've got to put whatever is aside, and then you just get on with it. I never really wasn't comfortable playing for England because I never really played and I never really felt part of it. But I never once turned up thinking, I can't stand these Man United players, I can't stand these Chelsea players. I knew them, they're not unbelievably big, massive mates, but, I appreciated the good football they played. I appreciated them as persons, but, I never once sort of went up to the camp thinking, well, I'm not going to sit by him because I don't like him. There would be times when you would sit with different people, but ultimately, whenever you went for breakfast, dinner, you're going to sit with your own mates, the players that you're more comfortable with.
Robbie, you've spoken brilliantly before about being from Liverpool and what it means to be from the city and what it means to have grown up in the part of the city that you grew up in. Was that one of the reasons why you don't have that many regrets about your England career in some respects, that ultimately what was important to you was playing for your boyhood team and being the best player you could be at Liverpool?
Yeah, look, I think you totally nailed that. Look, if I'm being totally honest, if I'd have played more games for England, I might have had a different feeling. But I just never felt part of an England setup because I never really played. Now, look, times might have been, times might change if I was playing, if I was a regular, I don't know. But ultimately, because I wasn't a regular, I wanted to get back to Liverpool as soon as possible and play with them because I was comfortable there and, I knew I was playing. But, I'm the type of person, when I'm not playing football, I'm not going to sit there and be just this really big happy chap around the camp. Because, I was a passionate player. I wanted to play all the time. Whether it was with Liverpool. When I went away with England, of course I wanted to play. But when you're not playing, then, for me, as a person, I don't really enjoy that environment when I'm not playing.
Quite often when you read these autobiographies, Robbie, one of the things you look out for is, what made you so good? That sort of natural talent. Where did it actually come from? And reading your book, it seems pretty obvious that your dad was an unbelievably key influence in that. First, he had a really good understanding of the game, and down to you being two-footed, insisting that.
I think you're being too kind. So when you pick up a book, you don't really read it to see how you learn to play football.
Look for the scandal.
Pick it up to see who's nailing who's criticising who, what plays you don't like, and all that. Well, unfortunately, I'm not like that. I'm quite an easygoing lad, so I will get on with everyone. I will mix with everyone, and I'll speak to everyone. But in terms of my development as a footballer, I grew up in, obviously one of the rougher places in Liverpool. But it was a great place for me because there was a load of families who had a load of kids in the masonette where we lived. So we were always playing football. And when I wasn't playing football with them, I would be practicing with my dad. So when you always talk about, practice, makes perfect, it doesn't necessarily make perfect. Good practice or perfect practice makes perfect. So, it's me, wanting to do it all the time. My dad helping me want to do it. My dad would be forced me, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. I wanted to do it, but my dad would take me on the local field and learn me how to kick with, obviously, my right foot. Because when I was, a real young kid, my right foot was terrible. I struggled to stand up on it. It was that bad, But obviously, the practice you get from, obviously with your mates, with your dad, was probably what I wanted myself as well.
What age are you when Kenny Dalglish picks you up at the bus stop as you're leaving training and you sort of realise...
What age was I?
Yeah.
I was probably about 14 actually, and you can imagine a young kid at the bus stop getting a lift off the King. Probably one of the greatest ever Liverpool players. Not probably, is the greatest ever Liverpool player. So for him to take the time out and take one of these skinny little kids on his way out, bus stop home from a wet winter's night, and take me by where I lived. I mean, it's just incredible, and that speaks volumes of Kenny as a man, Liverpool as a club. The fact is that you've got this unbelievable player, you've had this unbelievable career as a player, as a manager. He's going well out of his way, to take this snotty nosed little kid home. And I always liked Kenny anyway, but from that moment, I think you sort of go up in your estimation because. Sitting in the back of Kenny's car, getting a lift, and it's probably what every young kid would dream of. Any young kid who, and look, I don't even care if you're a Liverpool fan. If you're getting a lift off Kenny and he's taking the time out to do that, I think most kids would jump at that chance.
Robbie, why do you think your Liverpool team didn't fulfil the potential that the playing team should have done?
I mean, quite simply, there was another team who were probably better than us. It wasn't through the water trying. We were a very good team at Liverpool. Probably should have achieved more than what we did. But look, I don't know. Maybe certain players, certain performances against teams that we should be beaten. That was sort of what sort of curtailed our professionalism in terms of. Getting the right results in performances. But there was no doubt that whenever we sort of played and we played against the big teams, either the Manchester United, the Chelsea, the Arsenal, we were as good, if not better. But the sticking point with us is we probably struggled to beat the so-called weaker teams, whereas Manchester United were maybe a little bit more professional in getting that job done. And look, obviously we were a good team, but put your hand up and just admit that the other team were slightly better.
Over the period of time as well, they had Alex Ferguson. I think that might, like, if Ferguson had joined Liverpool instead of joining Man United, things would have been different. His willpower and him being the disciplinarian at the club obviously helped to change how Manchester United was run, and maybe it was the absence of a Ferguson type character for your squad.
Yeah, but look, in hindsight, it's brilliant. I think everyone can say, this player, that player, you could have done this, you could have done that. The fact of the matter is we did have experienced players in our team. I think, let's not pretend that we ever. We had the likes of Ian Rush, John Barnes, and Steve Nicol. He was all coming towards the end of the career, but they were all still good players. But I think we probably lost out because they were probably coming towards the end of their career where football was maybe slightly changing in terms of the way you looked at yourselves, and certainly from my point of view, I'm looking at these players and I'm looking, these have won everything, these Liverpool players now, so I'm going to do what they've done. So looking in hindsight, it's brilliant, yeah, and I get that. But the way we did it, we just thought, well, look, this has worked before, so why can't it work again?
The omerta continues, Ger, within this book about the Spice Boys. Do you all sit down? Did you sit down like 5-6 years ago yourself and McManaman and McAteer and come up with the same 4 or 5 stories that you were allowed to release to the public, but nothing else? Because you said everyone reads these books for the scandal, and it's the same scandal in every book.
We get together every other week and we wear our white suits as well. Well, you can imagine, look, we're all good, mate. And look, there's lots of stories that you can't put in books, and because, you'd just be an absolute idiot if you were going to print everything. But look, there's lots of stories in everyone's book, and you've got to be careful what you say. But I think in terms of us as a group, and a group of young lads, we actually socialise quite a lot, but we socialise at the right time. All this professionalism, you've went out their own time. We never, when there was games, we never went out. But I think you've got to remember, we were young lads who obviously were going to go out. But, the fact is that we didn't win what we should have done. That's maybe a little bit of a stickler in terms of everyone thinking, you're doing this or you're doing that. Look, I know, because, the Manchester United players went out. They would go out and have a drink as well. But because they were winning stuff, it's different. They don't really get the same sticks throughout them, because we never won nothing. But look, we know that they went out because we've been out and we've convinced them.
We had Michael Owen in studio a few weeks ago, and he was talking about the fact he never got to go back to Liverpool, and how he had it written into his contract at every club that if Liverpool came in with a certain bid, he could go back, and you could definitely sense the regret that he never had that opportunity, and that his legendary status as the club is definitely diminished because of the fact that he went to Manchester United and he never went back. You got that opportunity to go back again, and I remember my first ever trip to Anfield was actually the night you scored against Fulham on your comeback performance, and it's hard to describe now, the genuine warmth that was there from Liverpool supporters and delight that you were back, even if maybe you were just getting past your peak, that to have their own boyhood hero back playing in front of them. What was that period like for you? Because I presume you thought you were never going back.
Incredible. I think that was better than my first spell at Liverpool. I know you're saying I was past my peak. But look, my goal for games in my second spell at Liverpool was actually not too bad. Even before I scored my first goal against Fulham, I'd actually scored 3 goals that were disallowed. One was for offside, and 3 of them were for offside, but 2 of them weren't offside, so they should have counted. So the goals for games was very good. But me going back to Liverpool was, for me, it was waking up at Christmas and finding out you got the best present that you've ever wanted there. A Liverpool lad. Didn't really want to leave, if I'm being totally honest, but knew I had to leave just for my own sanity. I would never ever disrespect the Leeds. I would never ever disrespect Man City, obviously going to them other clubs. But I'm a Liverpool lad. I still enjoyed my time at Leeds. I thought Leeds was a great club. It really was a great club. I eventually got to like Man City. Being honest, I wasn't, I didn't do myself any favours when I first went there. I didn't really enjoy it, probably because I didn't really want to leave Leeds. And I know you probably get a lot of Man City fans who think, well, we didn't really want you anyway. But look, I would never ever disrespect them. I enjoy that. But look, for me to go back to Liverpool and play where I've always wanted to, and if I'm being honest, if I got the call now, to go and play for Liverpool, I'd be back in the gym first thing in the morning. I love Liverpool as a club. I love Liverpool as a place. And the time there was just exceptional. Obviously before I left. And when I went back, it was just the best thing ever.
Robbie, you're in Australia at the moment. Is the plan to stay in Australia? Is the lifestyle so great there that that's where you want to make your career as a manager? Or do you want to eventually work your way back to football in Europe and presumably England?
Yeah, look again, I've got a 2-year contract, and I'm only 4 games into my first season. We've drew 2. We've lost 2. We've lost... we drew against a team who won the league last year. We drew against the league leaders, and we lost the 2 games. And I know every manager says this, but they were games that we should have won. We were by far the better team. But you know what? I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying being part of a football club again. And look, do I want to come home? Eventually, I will come home. There's no doubt about that. But look, I'm enjoying the time. Really, really am so far. It's like when you're a player. Results dictate everything. When you're getting the right results, you enjoy it even more. But the time now is totally different from when I was as a player. You obviously you live and breathe football as a player. Don't get me wrong, but now it's a little bit more intense and a little bit more scrutiny in terms of looking after everything, as opposed to just yourself when you're a player. But you know what? I'm loving it. I really am. I feel as though I've got a lot to give. I've gone down the route of having every single badge that you can have in terms of coaching, the pro license included. And obviously me doing that shows people that I'm incredibly serious. The fact is that I've come over the other side of the world to get on the managerial ladder. For me, that takes some doing, and it shows people that I have got the will and the dedication to succeed and that drive to do better.
Well, listen, congratulations on the publication of the book. Thanks a million for making the time to talk to us, Robbie. You're always welcome here anytime.
Cheers, chaps. Thanks very much.
It's Robbie Fowler giving us some thoughts all the way from Australia this morning, talking about his new book. Michael Owen did take I'm dishing the... I'm going to dish the gossip.
Well, see, I think, though, the reason their books are very different is that they were portrayed very differently. So Robbie Fowler, I imagine, feels an awful lot is out there, whereas Michael Owen would admit, I think, the reason he wrote the book is that everyone thought he was a bit dull. And he was like, no, I wasn't dull. Actually, I was just sort of at 17 told, you can be really dull and you'll make way more money by being really dull. And he thought, all right, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And then at 35, I kind of thought, everyone thinks I'm really dull. That's not very interesting.
No, it's not, especially not when you want to make your career as a pundit.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, he's going to try and become a manager, which is, I wasn't sure that a lot of these guys were going to end up going that direction because, frankly, being a manager sounds like a lot of difficult work, time, effort, stress.
It's the one part of football I can never fully understand. Like, what's in it for Frank Lampard? You've made all the money you'll ever need. Like, it's not an easy job. Like, the punditry thing, totally. All right, there's a bit of work involved, but if you're at that level, you're going to all the best games and you've got your few days off for a bit of golf. But Frank Lampard is probably in there at 6:30 every morning until 8 o'clock every night. For what?
Do you remember the key thing in Frank Lampard's entire story is he's born rich, right? His dad was a footballer, so he's already rich. So his dad comes from the hard part of London and makes it, and then drives his son relentlessly to the point where his son is crying at training again and again and again and again and again. That work ethic is metaphorically beaten into him. And he's still got that work ethic. So what's he going to do? I remember in New York on holidays one September, sweating, walking down the street. Frank Lampard's there with his two kids who are as badly behaved as our kids. He's doing exactly the same stuff. We were, come on, lifting them up. And he's sweating. And you're like, this isn't really what Frank Lampard wants to do with his life. He wants to be in there giving it to his strikers, saying, what are you doing? Why aren't you tracking back?
Here's how I used to do it.
Yeah.
So too much time with your kids was the key thing.
Well, I think maybe,
That's fair enough.